I never planned to climb into that hot attic. The storm was loud, rain hitting the old house like someone was throwing stones. We had just come back from burying our mother, Madame Gloria. Everybody was tired. But something in me refused to sleep. The power went off again. The house felt like it was holding its breath. I grabbed a small torchlight and went upstairs. The wooden steps cried under my feet. My brothers and sister were all downstairs arguing about who should stay to fix the leaking roof. I pushed the attic door. Gust and heat rushed out like smoke. The smell of old cloth filled my nose. "Why are you up there, Ruth?" my younger brother David shouted from below. "Just checking," I said. My own voice shook. I moved the light across the dark room. Boxes. Old chairs. Then I saw a small wooden box under a broken suitcase. It was locked with a thin, rusty padlock. The box looked like it had been waiting for me. The box looked like it had been waiting fast. I pulled it out, the dust covering my hands. The lock broke easily after I hit it with a hammer I found near the window. Inside were folded papers tied with a blue ribbon. The first page started with, "If you are reading this, it means I am gone." I almost dropped it. I sat on the floor and began to read. "This land is not fully ours. Long ago, something happened. I could not tell you while I was alive. Forgive me." My eyes jumped to the next lines, but my sister Angela's voice cut in. "Ruth, what are you doing up there? Come here," I shouted. "You all need to see this, now." A few minutes later, Angela, David, and our oldest brother Henry climbed into the attic, sweating and breathing hard. Rain kept slapping the roof. I handed them the letter with shaking fingers. Henry read aloud. His voice was slow and heavy. "Mother wrote about a night many years ago, before we were born, when a fire burned a small farm behind our land in Mississippi. A family died in that fire. She said our father, Mr. Samuel, was there. And there was more, something about a land paper that was not signed right." Angela covered her mouth. David whispered, "This is not true." But the letter went on. "Mother said she fell in love with a white photographer during the civil rights protests. She hid the love because of the danger. She said the land we live on once belonged to the family who died in the fire." The attic felt smaller. The rain sounded like drums. Henry looked at me. "What are we supposed to do with this?" Nobody answered. "I will stop here for now." That was the night everything started to break, and also started to heal. It is the night I will never forget. The attic air felt heavy, like it wanted to choke us. Henry kept holding the letter, as if it might burn his hands. Angela spoke first. "So Mama knew all this and said nothing? For years?" Her voice was sharp, like a knife. David shook his head fast. "No. Maybe she wrote this when she was sick. Maybe it's confusion." I said, "It's her handwriting. You know it." Nobody talked for a while. Rain kept beating the roof. Drip, drip, drip. Henry finally said, "Let's go downstairs. We need light and space." The sitting room smelled of wet wood. We sat around the old brown table. Henry placed the letter in the middle like a bomb. Angela crossed her arms. "This changes nothing. The land is ours, full stop." Angela raised her voice. "David, stop. People talk plenty things in this town. All gossip. Mama would never steal." I felt my chest tight. "It's not only about land," I said. "She wrote about a man, a white man she loved." Henry rubbed his forehead. "Don't start that part." "But it's there," I said louder. "She loved someone else. And maybe that night, maybe Papa knew." Silence again. The storm outside calmed a little. You could hear the fridge hum. Henry stood and started pacing. "We need to find the rest of the papers." She said something happened. That means more than this one letter. Angela frowned. "And if we find more, will you give the land away? Where will we live?" David looked down. "I just want the truth." I nodded. "Me too." Henry went back to the attic and returned with a small brown notebook. The cover was cracked, but still strong. Inside were more pages filled with Mama's neat writing. He read aloud. The night of the fire, I heard shouting near the farm. Samuel ran out with a lantern. I followed, but smoke covered everything. I saw men running. I saw the flames climb like angry spirits. I held my belly. I was carrying Marian then. We all looked at each other. Marian is our elder sister who lives in Lagos, Nigeria. She was not with us that night. She had flown back home for work after the burial. Henry kept reading. The papers for the land. Samuel said it was now ours. But I knew it was not clean. I tried to find the children of the dead family. I failed. If you read this, my children, decide with wisdom. Return what must be returned. Henry closed the book slowly. Angela whispered, Jesus. David finally looked up. We can find those people. Maybe they are still around. Angela snapped. And give them everything. Just like that? I said softly. Mama wanted peace. She trusted us to choose. Henry sighed. We need to call Marian first. All of us must decide together. The storm outside was gone. But inside the house, the storm had just begun. Morning came with a pale gray sky. The air smelled of wet soil and old wood. I had not slept. None of us had. Henry brewed black coffee, but nobody drank much. The letter and the notebook sat on the table like quiet snakes. Henry said, We call Marian now. Angela rolled her eyes. She will just shout. She is the firstborn, Henry replied. She must hear everything. Henry put the phone on loudspeaker. After 3 rings, Marian answered. Her voice came bright from Lagos, Nigeria. Hello, family. How is everyone? I'm just about to step into a meeting. Henry cleared his throat. Marian, we found something in Mama's things. You need to listen. What happened? She asked, her voice changing. I explained everything. The attic, the letter, the notebook, the fire, the stolen land. Silence filled the line. Finally, Marian said, that is not possible. Mama and Papa worked hard for that land. Read the letter yourself, Henry said. He took pictures and sent them to her WhatsApp. Minutes passed. Only the hum of the fridge and the distant sound of a car outside. Marian's voice came back, low and shaky. This handwriting is Mama's. I know it. Angela jumped in. But it doesn't mean it's all true. Marian sighed. I don't know. But if Mama wanted us to decide, we must decide. Henry spoke slowly. We can look for the family of those who died. We can give them back what is theirs. Angela shouted. Are you all mad? Do you know what that means? Lawyers, court, money. We will lose everything. David said quietly. It's not ours if it was stolen. Marian said from the phone. I need to fly in. Do nothing until I come. Henry nodded, even though she could not see him. Okay, we wait. For the rest of the day, we hardly spoke. Each of us carried a heavy cloud of thought. I walked outside. The yard smelled of wet grass and magnolia flowers. The big white petals looked like small moons on the ground. I remembered Mama's voice singing to us when we were small. She always said, truth may sleep, but it never dies. Now those words were alive. Evening came. Angela cooked rice and beans, but nobody was hungry. Henry looked at us. When Marian arrives, we go to the old county office. We check every record. If we find that the land is not clean, we make it right. Angela's spoon dropped with a loud clink. You people will ruin this family. I wanted to speak, but my heart was too full. That night the house was quiet, but my mind was loud. I kept hearing Mama's words from the notebook. Return what must be returned. I did not know how, but I knew we had to try. 2 days later, Marian arrived. Her flight landed in Jackson, and Henry drove to pick her up. When they walked into the house, Marian looked tired but strong. Her black suit was neat, her shoes shining, her hair pulled back tight. She always looked like someone ready for a fight. She dropped her bag by the door and headed us quickly. Then she went straight to the table and picked up the notebook. She read in silence for a long time. No one moved. The house was so quiet. Even the wall clock ticked louder than usual. Finally, Marian looked up. Her eyes were red. "This is bad," she whispered. "Very bad." Angela folded her arms. "So what do we do? Throw away our lives? Our house? Everything Papa worked for?" Marian shook her head slowly. "This land carries a curse if this is true. No matter how much we hold it, peace will not stay." David leaned forward. "So we must look for the family that lost everything?" "Yes," Marian said. "First we go to the county office. We search records, fire reports, land papers. If their descendants are alive, we find them." Angela slapped the table. "Do you people hear yourselves? We will drag our name in the mud. Neighbors will laugh. Church members will gossip. And for what? A rumor in an old diary?" Henry's voice rose. "It is not a rumor. It is Mama's own words. She trusted us to finish what she could not." Angela looked at me. "Ruth, say something." I swallowed hard. "All I know is Mama wanted truth. If we hide this, her spirit will not rest." Angela looked away, shaking her head. The next morning, we dressed simple and went to the county office. The building was old, with yellow paint peeling off the walls. The clerk at the desk looked bored, but when Marian showed Mama's letter, his eyes changed. He searched dusty files in the back. For almost an hour we waited in the small hot room. Finally, he came out with a thick folder. The paper inside was brown and fragile. It was the fire report. Date, June 12, 1968. Location, Miller Farm. Cause, unknown. Suspected arson. Casualties, John Miller, wife Sarah Miller, 2 children. I felt my stomach turn. The folder also held land transfer papers, dated 2 months later. Owner name, Samuel Gloria. The signature looked shaky, like someone forced it. David whispered, "Papa." Henry rubbed his face with both hands. "This is it. Proof." Angela refused to look. "It doesn't mean anything. Anybody could have written that." But Marian pointed at the seal. "This is official. Papa took their land after the fire." We left the office heavy with silence. The sun was hot, but I felt cold inside. Back at the house, Marian placed the folder on the table. "We have to find if the Millers have family still alive. If they do, we face them." Angela shouted, "Face them and say what? That our father was a thief and a killer? Are you people mad? This family will be destroyed." Henry shouted back, "Better destroyed by truth than standing on lies." David stood between them. "Stop it. Mama wanted peace. We must give her that." I sat down, my hands shaking. The room smelled of sweat and old wood. The magnolia trees outside swayed in the hot wind. I whispered, "The Millers, if their blood is still alive, they must know what happened, even if it breaks us." No one spoke after that, only the sound of the clock, ticking, ticking. The next morning, Henry woke us up early. He had already brewed coffee and laid out his laptop on the dining table. His face looked tired but sharp. "We start today," he said. "We search for the Millers family." Angela groaned. "You all are still chasing ghosts?" She pushed her hair back and sat with folded arms. Marian ignored her. She opened a folder from the county office. John and Sarah Miller. 2 children. No names written. That's all we know. David said, "If there were children, maybe one cousin or uncle survived." He looked at me. "Ruth, you are good at talking to neighbors. Maybe someone old around here remembers." I nodded, even though my chest felt heavy. And that afternoon, I walked to the small shop near the church where Mama used to buy yam and oil. The owner, Mr. Benson, was almost 80, skin dark like roasted groundnut, voice slow like he was pulling it from deep inside. "Ah, Ruth," he said. "You people came back for the burial, I heard." "Yes, sir," I replied softly. "I wanted to ask, do you remember a family called Miller? Long ago, 1968? His eyes changed. He leaned on the counter. "The Millers. White man married a black woman. They farmed close to your land." My breath caught. "Yes. What happened to them?" He looked at me for a long time. "Fire took them. Some people said it was accident. Some said men with hate in their blood did it." "Did they have family?" I asked quickly. He nodded slowly. "The woman, Sarah, she had a younger brother. Name was Daniel. He left after the fire. Nobody saw him again." "Do you know where he went?" "Maybe Chicago, maybe Houston. Nobody sure. He was just gone." Angela shook her head. "This is madness. One old man's memory and you are ready to give away our land?" Marian snapped back. "This is not madness, Angela. This is justice." Angela stood, her chair scraping the floor. "Do we want to drag his name in dirt? He gave us food, school, everything. And now you will say he stole it all?" David said quietly, "If he did wrong, it is already dirt. Pretending does not clean it." Angela's voice broke. "I will not let strangers take my house, over my dead body." Then she stormed upstairs, her steps like thunder. The rest of Mrs. Baker and Kina were discussing the rest of the party. We continued to talk David. "Maybe Daniel Miller's name appears." Marian said, "I can contact some friends in Houston." I only sat, staring at the magnolia tree outside. Its flowers glowed white in the moonlight, like Nama was watching. That night I could not sleep. I kept hearing Angela's words, "over my dead body." And I feared she meant it. 2 days passed. Henry kept checking records online. Marian made phone calls to friends in Houston. David went to the library for old newspapers. Everyone worked like ants, except Angela. She stayed in her room most of the time, door closed, phone always in her hand. I could feel something brewing. Late one night, I went to drink water. The house was dark and quiet. I heard a soft sound near the back door. I peeked from the hallway. Angela was there, wearing a jacket. She was slipping outside with a small bag. "Angela," I whispered. She jumped. "Ruth, why are you awake?" "I could ask you the same," I said, stepping closer. "Where are you going?" "Nowhere. Just air," she muttered. The bag in her hand looked heavy. "What's in the bag?" I asked. "Nothing important." I frowned. "Angela, don't lie. Tell me." She looked at me for a long moment, eyes sharp. Then she sighed. "I'm going to see a lawyer in town," she said quietly. "I need to know if we can lock this land before you people do something stupid." I felt my stomach drop. "You want to hide the truth?" "I want to protect us," she hissed. "Mama is gone. Papa is gone. We are all we have. Do you want strangers to take everything they built?" I shook my head. "This is not protection. It's fear." She looked away. "You won't stop me." I wanted to call Henry, but I held back. Instead I said, "Please, just wait. At least hear what we find first." Angela tightened her grip on the bag. "I can't. If you all give away this land, we have nothing. I won't watch that happen." She stepped out into the cool night. I stood frozen until the door clicked shut. The next morning she returned, acting normal. No one else knew. But I could see the lawyer's card peeking from her bag. During breakfast, Henry said, "I found something. A Daniel Miller living in Chicago, about 75 years old. The age fits." Marian's eyes widened. "Did you call him?" "Not yet," Henry said. "I wanted us all to agree first." Angela sipped her tea, face calm, like she knew nothing. But I saw the tension in her jaw. "We need to call," David said. "This might be the man." Angela put her cup down hard. Even if he is alive, what will you tell him? Hello, our father stole your land, please take it back? You think he will hug you and say thank you? Marian answered, we will tell him the truth and see what he wants. That's what Mama asked. Angela shook her head slowly, hiding a small smile I didn't like. After breakfast, Henry dialed the number. The phone rang many times before a deep, rough voice answered. This is Daniel, the man said. Henry's hands shook. Sir, my name is Henry Gloria. We think you are the brother of Sarah Miller. Silence. Then the man spoke, voice heavy. I am. Why are you calling me after all these years? Henry swallowed. Sir, it's about the land. Our mother left letters. She said our father took what was yours after the fire. Long silence again. Then a slow breath. I knew that land was stolen, Daniel said quietly. I just never had proof. Tell me everything. Henry explained while we all listened. Even Angela, eyes narrow, listened. When Henry finished, Daniel said, I am old now, but I still have children and grandchildren. If what you say is true, we must meet. After the call, the room felt different. Lighter and heavier at the same time. Angela stood and walked to the window. Her voice was small. Are you sure we want to open this door? Once we start, there is no going back. Marian said softly. The door was opened the moment Mama wrote the letter. That night, I lay in bed thinking of the meeting. Would Daniel's family hate us? Would they want everything? Would they forgive? Outside, the magnolia tree glowed under the moon. Its white flowers looked like Mama's calm face. I whispered to myself, we will finish what you started, Mama, even if it breaks us. 3 days later, a gray van pulled into our driveway. The morning sun was soft, but my heart beat hard. Henry opened the door. A tall, lean man stepped out first. White hair, dark brown skin, slow but strong. Behind him came a younger woman and a man about Henry's age. I'm Daniel, he said. For a moment, nobody moved. Then Marian stepped forward and hugged him. Welcome, she whispered. Daniel's eyes shone with water. I never thought I'd stand on this land again, he said. We led them to the living room. Angela sat stiff on the couch, arms crossed. The younger woman introduced herself as Clara, Daniel's daughter. The man was her brother, Paul. Henry brought out Mama's letters and the faded map. Daniel held the pages like fragile glass. He read slowly, lips moving. When he finished, he set the letters down and closed his eyes. I was 16, he said quietly. The night the house burned, I ran to find help. When I came back, everything was gone. I searched for Sarah for years. Your father, he hid her. Nobody spoke. Even the fridge hum seemed to stop. Daniel looked around the room. This house, these trees, my father planted some of them. But I never hated your mother. I never even knew she was alive. Marian said, Mama loved this land but hated the lie. She wanted it set right. Daniel nodded slowly. She was brave. Angela shifted in her seat. And now, she asked, do you want the whole land back? Clara glanced at her father. We don't want to throw anyone out, Clara said. We only want truth, and maybe a piece of what is ours. Angela's eyes tightened. That's still a lot. Daniel spoke gently. Child, I lost this land once. I am not here to hurt you. I only need to stand on my father's soil before I die. What we work out next is for all of us, together. Henry cleared his throat. We can share it, he said. Sell part, keep part, make it right on paper. David nodded. I'll help with documents. Angela looked at each of us. Her jaw was hard, but her eyes were wet. Finally, she whispered, if we do this, we keep Mama's name on the deed. Daniel smiled. Of course, Sarah's name should stay. Something inside me loosened. That afternoon, we walked the land. Daniel touched the old magnolia tree, the one Mama loved. She planted this? He asked. Yes, I said. She kept the memory alive, he whispered. Angela trailed behind, quiet. When Daniel reached out a hand, she hesitated, then took it. For a second, they just stood there, Black hands of different generations joined. Back inside, we drew a rough plan. Half the land to the Glorias, half to Daniel's family. No lawyers fighting, just signatures and tea. As we signed, the sky outside turned a deep gold. A soft wind carried the smell of magnolia through the window. It felt like Mama was there. Daniel looked at us and said, "Your mother gave me back a home. Now we are one family." That night we cooked jollof rice and fried plantain. We laughed, told stories of Lagos, Houston, and Chicago. Angela even smiled, really smiled. I went to bed with my heart full. The secret was no longer a weight. The land was no longer stolen. Nama's wish was done. The moon was bright over the magnolia tree. I whispered, "Rest now, Mama. We did it."
6 months later, the house feels different. Not new, just fuller. Daniel comes every few weeks. Sometimes Clara or Paul comes too. They bring pies and old photos. Angela now hugs them when they arrive. I still smile every time I see that. We built a small wooden bench under the magnolia tree. Daniel sits there first thing whenever he visits. He calls it the memory seat. Sometimes he prays there. Sometimes he just listens to the wind. We agreed to keep half the land for our family and give half to Daniel's. His side now has a small garden with tomatoes and peppers. Ours has Mama's flowers and a big table for Sunday dinners. Henry takes care of the shared paperwork. David helps Daniel's grandchildren plant vegetables. Marianne hosts big family meals. Angela, yes, Angela, bakes cakes with Clara. One warm evening, we all sat under the tree. The air smelled of magnolia and grilled fish. Daniel told a story about his father teaching him to play the harmonica. Angela laughed so hard she had to wipe her eyes. I looked around the circle, our family and theirs. No line between us. The moonlight touched each face. For a moment, I felt Mama there again, quiet and happy. Later that night, I stood by the window. The bench under the magnolia glowed silver in the moonlight. I whispered, "We kept your promise, Mama." We turned a stolen land into a shared home. A soft wind rustled the leaves, almost like an answer. Now, when I think of our story, I don't think of fire or secrets first. I think of the sound of laughter under a tree. I think of how two families became one. I think of peace. And every time the magnolia moon rises, I know Mama is smiling. My people, what lessons did you learn from my story? Well, truth outlives secrecy. A buried truth doesn't stay buried forever. Mama's hidden letters show that even the quietest secrets eventually surface, and the later they surface, the heavier the cost. Lesson: it's better to face hard truths early than to let silence turn them into bigger wounds. Legacy is more than property. Land and houses matter, but integrity is the real inheritance. Mama's true gift wasn't the acreage, it was the courage to set things right. Lesson: measure wealth not by what you own, but by the honesty and justice you pass to the next generation. Healing begins with listening. Daniel, Henry, Marian, even Angela, each needed to be heard before healing could start. Lesson: when conflict comes, listening with respect often repairs more than arguments ever can. Family isn't limited by blood. Strangers became kin when they chose reconciliation over revenge. Listen, love and shared values can create family ties stronger than DNA. Family isn't loud. Mama never shouted or forced the truth. She prepared quietly, knowing her children would face it. Real bravery can be gentle, patient, and strategic. Fear protects nothing. Angela's fear of losing land nearly kept the family from peace. Decisions made only from fear often block the good they're meant to protect. Forgiveness frees both sides. Daniel could have demanded the entire property. Instead, he chose understanding, and the Glorias offered restitution. Forgiveness is not weakness. It's strength that releases everyone from the past. Shared stories build stronger communities. Sitting under the magnolia tree, they exchanged memories and food until two families felt like one. Honor the ancestors by doing right today. Mama honored both her own parents and Daniel's by correcting a wrong she didn't even commit. Respecting your ancestors is not just remembering them, it's choosing actions they'd be proud of. Peace is a daily choice. Signing papers was one moment, living together in harmony is ongoing. Lesson: reconciliation isn't a single act, but a continuing practice of kindness, fairness, and shared care. These lessons aren't only for the Glorias and Amillas. They speak to anyone guarding a family secret, facing old injustice, or fearing change. Truth plus compassion is the real inheritance.